My mortgage went up $1,000 and I am not okay.
Over the last 3 years, my mortgage has gone up $600. And it's shocking.
My mortgage just went from $4,500 to $6,050, and it'll be effective March the 1st.
If you're not careful when buying a home, you'll end up like the homeowners we see today with a mortgage you can't afford, and you'll be forced to give away your wealth for pennies. If you've ever been interested in a new construction home, pay very close attention to this first clip.
I can pack up the house and give it back to you. You can have it. If you own a newly constructed home or you're buying a newly constructed home, stay here. So tell me how I signed a document with all the documents signed, your payment 1907, and you signed 1,000,000 documents. Now a year later, they hit me up in February talking about your payment is 3450. I bet it ain't. I bet it's not. So the first year when you buy your home, your newly constructed home, they're only charging you for the taxes, the property taxes on the land, the raw land. Well, the land was only worth $60,000. Well, now that the house has been put on it and now there's a development around you, that now that land this year is worth $110,000, and they put a 400 and something, almost $500,000 house on top. So now your taxes are going to go to correct. So now your mortgage is going to increase. Now, when they done tell you got a fixed rate, you got a fixed payment and all, they not explaining to you that the property taxes will increase that payment. My payment went up to $34.50. How? Because I can pack up the house and give it back to you. You can have it.
So the way he said, I can pack the house up and give it back to you, I thought it was hilarious, and I can't be the only one who was laughing at that. But on a serious note, it's important for you to understand what your property taxes will be before you purchase a home. Ignoring this is how many folks become house poor because they're not prepared for the increase. So you definitely want to make sure you connect with the county and you just understand how the property taxes work. Your mortgage payment is typically made up of your principal, your interest, your taxes, and insurance. If you have a fixed rate mortgage, your principal and interest will always remain the same. Your taxes and insurance are always subject to change. So keep that in mind. And this is one of the many reasons you should not buy more house than you can comfortably afford. If you thought that was bad, it gets worse.
So they send a little letter. I called because with this letter, don't send no letter when you talking about my money. I called a lady. The lady basically telling me, yeah, somebody should have told you. They didn't tell me, ma'am. And that's another thing. Your realtors, some realtors, they gonna comment. I tell my clients that was your realtor's fault. That was okay, but we not here for that. I'm here for the people that if y'all have experienced this or if y'all about to experience this because it's y'all first house in y'all newly constructed home, the taxes is not right. Pay extra. Pay extra. Let me tell you how crazy it was, because when I signed the paperwork, they said your payment, like the lender was, my loan originator was like, your payment gonna be $2407, but when we got to the paperwork, it was $1907. So then I said, hey, it's supposed to be 24. You said nine. He said, no, don't even worry about it. That I always overbid. So when you get here, I can give you good news. And I'm over here giving him brownie points, sending him edible arrangements and shit. And you knew it was supposed to be $2,400 because the taxes, you didn't say that. So now I'm paying $1907, happy as hell, paying $1907, and then the next year come in, and I gotta pay because the escrow didn't have no money. They done paid the taxes for me, sir. Lender, I didn't ask you to pay the tax. Don't pay the taxes on my behalf. You better call me and tell me my escrow was low. So they done paid the taxes. Now they talking about I owe them $34.50 a month for the next 3 years, or I can come out of my pocket 17, 18. We is struggling. The county, the city, the states, America is down.
I have to say, I respect that he's being transparent with his experience because it's only going to help others who are looking into buying new construction homes and just homes in general as well. Now, I hope he can keep the home because a $1,543 increase is not a joke, and most people probably can't afford that. So I really hope that he's able to figure it out and hold on to the home. Do you think it was his fault that he's in this situation? Do you think it was his realtor's fault? Do you think it was his lender's fault? I want to hear from you and know what you think. Let me know in the comments. If you ever thought that homeownership isn't all it's cracked up to be, pay attention to this next clip.
My mortgage went up $1,000 and I am not okay. So let me tell you guys, for the longest time, people be screaming from the hilltop, homeownership is not it. Like, don't rush, don't rush. And I will just be like, I don't understand it because I'm literally chilling, like cheaper than rent. I was bamboozled. So let me tell y'all what they do not tell y'all about real estate. So they do an analysis every year from, at least with the mortgage that I got, right? And so they did an analysis, and basically my mortgage increased by $1,000. And I asked them why. And they were like, something about my house is a new build. And so I guess they charged me for the taxes when it was just the land for 2 years. Then after year 2, they add the taxes with the house actually on it. And they were like, yeah, your builder is supposed to tell you. They didn't. They didn't. And so I asked them, can I sell the house? And they were like, there's no equity in it. You guys see me smiling, but come next month, I'm literally going to be in tears because $1,000 extra a month, I legit want to move back home and live with my parents. But I don't have that option. I'm sick. I'm sick. Honestly, don't buy a house if you're single. Buy a house when there's 2 incomes coming in because, baby, you gonna need it.
Now, I would be a little annoyed if my mortgage increased by $100 or $200 a month. However, if it increased by $1,000 or more, I'd be really upset, and I'm sure every one of you would be as well. And maybe some of you have experienced that. I honestly don't blame her for considering selling the house and just getting rid of the problem. If she's open to it, she should consider renting out one of the rooms to subsidize that increase a little bit. As far as buying a house when you're single, I do understand where she's coming from. However, it is still possible to buy a house when you're single, of course, depending on how much you make, depending on where you live, how much the homes are that you want to buy, and all those things. You technically could do it as a single person in the right situation. If you choose to buy a home in the wrong area, I guarantee that you're going to regret it. This next clip is going to explain why.
My mortgage has gone up another $200. So over the last 3 years, my mortgage continues to increase $200. So over the last 3 years, my mortgage has gone up $600. And it's shocking. It is very shocking because I don't feel like people talk about this. People are all, often glamorizing homeownership, but not really talking about the reality of homeownership in today's economy. So not only has my mortgage gone up, my HOA continues to increase every year. And it's just all shocking. It is all shocking because I feel like it's not spoken about. I live in South Florida, and so I guess this is something I'm gonna have to get used to because everything is sky high here. The property taxes are high, the cost of living is high, and so I guess it's something that I need to prepare for every year because it's just expensive to live here. But a lot of times when you think that you're buying a house, you think that you're gonna have this set rate and that you're good and you won't have to you won't experience any increases like you would if you were renting. But reality check, you will experience some increases, especially depending on where you live at.
So she's in Florida, which is a very difficult place to own a home these days because the rising cost of insurance, property taxes, and in many cases, HOA fees. And we've talked about all these things on this channel and it hasn't gotten any better. Now, to be fair, HOAs can have many benefits. I can't lie about that. However, the hard part is you cannot control how much the fees increase year over year. So if everything goes up every year, your HOA, your taxes, your insurance, it can put you in a tough situation. I do appreciate the information she gave though, and the theme was to not go into this process blindly, which I 100% agree with. Unfortunately, there can still be sticker shock even when you know that your property taxes are going to increase.
And my mortgage is going up $700. I knew that it was going to be crazy because the previous owners, like the people who bought it to renovate it, they were only paying land value, even though the house had been on the market with this current rate and a current county appraisal for X amount of months. But I don't know, somehow they only were paying land value. And then I lost my ID twice. It took them 3 months to send me an ID right before the election. So I wasn't able to file my homestead exemption. And my escrow now has an overage of the amount that I owe in taxes, which is going to put my payment up $700.
So yeah, hey.
So the difference here from our other situations is that she knew this was going to happen. One thing she did mention though is a homestead exemption, which can help you to reduce your property taxes. So if that's something that's available in your area and it's your primary residence, you should absolutely apply for it. Now let's hear from a mortgage broker about these situations because we need to hear both sides. Before we do that, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. It definitely supports the channel and helps us get in front of more people. So take a moment, hit like, hit subscribe.
Let's be really clear about everybody's role and everybody's job. It is the lender's job to close loans, period. It is the builder's job to build houses and sell them to somebody. It is the buyer's job to do all of the research and understand what they're getting themselves into. What typically happens is that when y'all want to be pre-approved, you've already been on Zillow, you've already been on realtor.com. You have already made up in your mind what this house is probably going to look like. And you've also made up your mind about what the payment you think matches to the house that you want.
So I've said this before and I'll say it again. The first step is for you to get pre-approved when you're looking to buy a house, because you need to understand before you go looking at anything what you could potentially afford and be qualified for. It doesn't make sense to go shopping. It doesn't make sense to go to open houses and all these things for homes that you don't even know if you can afford. It's honestly a big waste of time. So I definitely agree with her here. So many people choose to buy a home at the top of their budget and end up house poor. The next clip is going to show why that's a big mistake.
Now again, this is not about him. I'm just using this as a text, okay? My 10 years of experience tells me the $3,200 was already too much. And the reason why I say that is because when I talk to people and I put my numbers together, I'm giving whatever the market rate is at the time. I'm also giving the full taxes on the pretend property, as well as the full insurance of the pretend property, and whatever the mortgage insurance on that property could potentially be. There is always an element of sticker shock that comes along with that. And during 2022, 2023, the market was very competitive. A lot of people are in new construction right now quite simply because they couldn't afford to compete with the people that could afford the house. People get online and they continue to say, oh, I want an affordable payment. I want to make sure that I'm not house poor. No, the hell you don't. You want a house by any means necessary. You don't care about hook or crook. You don't care how the magic happens behind the curtain. All you know is you want that house.
I do agree with her that there are people who will buy at the top of their budget no matter what anyone says, even though it's not the best situation and the best outcome for them. At the end of the day, it's a personal choice. You have to look at the numbers and make an objective decision, not a decision based on feelings or how much you love a house or this or that. You have to make a sound decision. It's in your best interest. You can always get that dream home someday, but maybe it's not the next home that you get. It's okay to work towards it over a long period of time. You don't have to get everything you want on the first try or even the second try. The next clip will show why choosing the right real estate agent is crucial, and I promise you will regret it if you make the wrong decision.
When people get told no when it comes to home buying, they do not pack up their toys and go home, y'all. If I say no, you don't get pre-approved, the realtor is going to say, I'm going to have you call somebody else. So that's your second time. Or you might get to a third person. And especially when they be under contract. If the underwriter says no, they under contract, guess what? That realtor is going to go through the yellow pages all the way back to the 1990s to find somebody to get that deal done. And you just be following behind them. You just go right along with it because you are so deep into it. And sometimes no is the destination, but we don't want to accept it as the destination because we have this culture of perseverance and overcoming, and we don't want to let anything stop us. But sometimes you just have to understand in life, no is no. And I follow Funky Doneven. He always says this thing. He says sometimes in life you gonna pay on the front end or you gonna pay on the back end. But whenever it is that you pay, you gonna pay. And if you pay on the back end, you gonna pay with interest. You got your house. Congratulations.
So her delivery is just hilarious, but it's all facts. I agree with what she's saying here. The reality is, for many people, it's not the best time to buy right now, but that doesn't mean that you can't plan for when your opportunity comes. You should never rush anything. You should never do anything impulsively, especially when it comes to buying a house, which for many is the biggest purchase of your life. I don't want any of you to be on the verge of being house poor or losing your home. I want you to get your home and be able to own it and live comfortably in it for as long as you want. Also, as a buyer, I hate to say it, but you shouldn't assume that all parties necessarily have your best interests or that they're going to hold your hand through the entire process. The only person who's going to look out for you as much as you would is you. So you have to do your research. You have to get all the information you can, in addition to the information you receive from all the parties involved in the transaction, and make a wise decision that you are comfortable with. Buy the home you can afford. Don't stretch yourself too much. Don't try to be out here trying to impress people. Do what's best for you. So before we're done, I want to talk about a few ways that you can reduce your property taxes if this is an issue that you've run into before. So before you buy either a primary residence or a rental property, you want to make sure that you're crystal clear on how property taxes work within that county. You can always call the county tax office and they can help you understand how it works and what you can expect. You should know things like if there's a cap to the increases, some states have that, and you should also know how often they're reassessed so you can prepare for that. Whenever I'm looking for properties or analyzing deals, that's one of the things I do. Make sure I understand how the property taxes work. If you're a veteran, if you're a senior, if you are someone who is disabled, you should see if there are any property tax exemptions for you. Many places have this. And once again, you should check for homestead exemptions if it's your primary residence. So those are a few tips on property taxes and some stories from both sides. So from a mortgage broker and also from homeowners who are going through some unfortunate experiences. So comment below. I would love to hear from you. Let me know if you've had a negative property tax experience or if there's anything else you want to share or feedback in the comments. Also, in the pinned comment of this video, there are a number of free resources, cost you absolutely nothing, but it'll help you understand real estate a little bit better. So those are in the pinned comment. Definitely make sure to download some of those today. So now that you know about these property tax issues, I want you to learn about Florida's goal to completely eliminate property taxes. Check out this video right here.